I know we're all having a great time, but City Commission meeting for March 8th will come to order, please. Roll call.
Mr. Abraham?
Present.
Mr. Galt?
Present.
Mr. Rhodes?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Kaler?
Present. Tonight we, we have Reverend Kamal Madal here to do our invocation, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be Meg Hancock, and she's a Paducah Tillman High School senior. Reverend Kamal, would you please come forward?
Good evening, each one of you. It's a great opportunity to be here this evening and read a couple of scriptures and pray before as you go into the council. I'm going to read from Philippians chapter 4, starting from verse 6 and 7. Here the Bible says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all comprehension, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Amen. Let's go into prayer. Father, in Jesus' name, we come before you right now. We exalt your holiness. We exalt you, Jesus, your blood. We exalt you, Holy Spirit, for your help in our lives. Father, I lift up the City of Paducah, this council meeting, and all the staff and faculty here, Mayor Gale. I lift them up to you, Father, as they make decisions along with the people who are sitting here. I thank you that they'll have thy wisdom, understanding. They'll make right decisions, and they'll have your peace and your wisdom in their lives throughout this evening and throughout this year. And we ask these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And everybody said, Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Manager, are there any additions or deletions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Before we get started, Scott Darnell is here, and he wanted to just say a few words before we get into our meeting. Scott, welcome.
Thank you, Aaron. Well, thank you. Want to just give you a lot of quick updates on things. A lot of good things are happening, and you're going to see a lot of activity here in the next 30 to 45 days. As you know, have been involved in a strategic planning process really since the fall, and this has involved hundreds of citizens, a lot of focus groups, a lot of data, a lot of analytics, and it's come down to 6 strategic goals that we'll be announcing further. You know, the first way is cultivating talent, which is extremely important in any economy. The second is helping businesses succeed. The third will be inspiring innovation. The fourth will be celebrating culture. The fifth will be telling your story, and the sixth is investing in yourself. So, what is this? This isn't a plan, it's a strategy. Somebody said, will it go on the shelf? I hope it doesn't. That means I'm not working if it goes on the shelf, because it'll define how we make decisions from now on in the economy. The other thing is we've moved a lot of things toward this structure already. If you go to our new website, epaducah.com, you see some of the theme that's occurring on social media every day, and you also see, our story. So we're telling a different image of the community that relates to what the economic opportunities are. The great thing about this plan, we got it today, there's a lot of review and citizen input, and it's shaping strategy, but there's something in the plan that benefits every citizen of Paducah, McCracken County. Even Madison, my daughter who's joined me tonight, there's things in the plan that she immediately benefits from and would want out of that plan. And that's important in a community with 65,000 people. It's not about just what you do 8 to 5 at your job. It's what you do on the weekends. The Greenway Trail couldn't even find a parking space this weekend because that's a part of our economy, the downtown and the rest. So this strategy is going to be exciting. It's going to be high energy, and it's going to encourage us to look at things a different way, and it's going to continuously build on those great things that have been announced in the past, and we can't wait to share that with you. Another thing is this time of the year, the gas use diffusion plant We had a phenomenal year last year. We got 1,600 people. Great collaboration, Mayor. You're involved in going to Washington a lot with us. The Chamber's done a phenomenal job, and the contractors. Again, we got 1,600 jobs. A part of the D&D, the cleanup side, was about $150 million. We can trace back over a third of that was spent locally with companies here. They're creating jobs, and part of the strategy is getting money for cleanup, but how do we maximize the impact of that cleanup money? How do we make sure that the local companies are benefiting from that? The Chamber's done a phenomenal job with partnerships with the contractors. We're moving that forward. It's another budget year. We got a great number. We're going to work harder on that. But we're going to make sure those small business opportunities, employment opportunities stay in McCracken County and the region. So we're excited about that. The other thing is Entree Paducah is being re-engineered, it's being changed. What you're seeing now is the Murray State, the community college, Melinda Winchester with downtown. There's ongoing meetings. A board with a lot of different ideas and strategies is driving the boat now when it comes to entrepreneurship. We're going to have a phenomenal public-private announcement out of that initiative already in the next couple of weeks. And you're going to see a better programmatic infrastructure and tremendous amount of resources now that we're sharing, collaborating, and looking at the entrepreneurship with the same lens right now. The recruitment piece, a lot of people have heard me say, what's economics? It's allocation of resources, given certain restrictions to maximize needs and wants. The council's been great. We've got great policies in place. We're measuring our impact. We got checks and balances when we're using public sector dollars. We're looking at how do we maximize the opportunity? Again, how do we allocate our resources in the most efficient way? It's not about the announcement. It's about what is the impact to our community. And there's a great way to do that. We've got a tremendous activity. We were in Atlanta last week with a very large project with the consultants. We have consultants back in our community this week, and I'll talk some more about that. So it's a lot of science behind it, but how do we maximize those opportunities? Simply throwing a lot of dollars at an announcement, hurting our local economy is not a positive thing. We got limited funds. Let's make sure we maximize those funds. And our system is looking at the impact across multiple industries at one time, and we can gauge whether we should be more focused on one sector versus the rest, and you're going to see a bigger part of that. Regional collaboration. What's good for Paducah is good for the region and vice versa. We're a regional-based economy. I'll tell you, a part of those consultants being here this week is not only us working with them, it's our entire region. Our entire region has come to our community to work, and how do we work better together? How do we share opportunities? How do we share resources? And there's going to be a huge announcement building on that collaboration, we think, in the next couple of weeks, and we're excited to share that. Going back to this strategy is coming down to a holistic view of economic development. And what it basically looks at is how do we maximize return in our community? And that's creating wealth. If we create wealth, everyone benefits. And everyone benefits from our children to us to the retirees and the rest. But a part of the reason we're able to do this holistic approach is because the city's great staff. I mean, Mark Thompson, John Perkins, the rest. They've been, Steve Irvin, Melinda, they've all been a crucial part of the strategy. They're a great resource for us, and they have the best interest of the city and the citizens. And a good strategy is, if you were saying what is a good measurement of how successful you are, is how willing we are to accept partners in this process. What a holistic strategy is going to do is going to encourage input and it's going to encourage communication, but it will not allow public debate that gets to no decision, and the facts will be introduced before the debate or conversation begins. And that's the only fair way to do it. So we're looking at this great strategy. We've molded our organization to work toward it. We're going to measure the impact. We're going to have better metrics. And in the end, we got great successes. We got a great community. The economy is responding well to a lot of things from a policy standpoint. We just need to get it packaged better. And we think we'll have that done next 30, 45 days. And we look forward to your input and collaboration moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions quickly?
Any questions for Scott? Sounds great. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for what y'all do.
Sharing all the good news that we have going on here in Paducah.
And I tell you, we're excited about the annual meeting for downtown. We're proud to be a sponsor with Independence Bank tomorrow night. So look forward to seeing the new hotel, another great addition, and all the good things happening downtown. So thanks for your support there as well.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing
Thank you.
Madison.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Abraham, I think you have the minutes.
I do. I move that the reading of the minutes for the February 23rd, 2016 City Commission meeting be waived, and that the minutes of said meetings prepared by the city clerk be approved as written.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kayler?
Aye. Okay, I have a resolution tonight, and it's a resolution, so I want to move that the following be adopted. But before I actually read the resolution, it's about the City of Paducah supporting a U.S. Coast Guard city, which I certainly am proud to bring forward. The Coast Guard has meant a lot to Paducah. You've been very involved in our community, and your presence here is appreciated. And before I read this, I want everyone to understand, though, that we would be the first brown water Coast Guard city if we get this designation. It's a long process, and I appreciate John Civillo's work on this. And so with that, I'll read the resolution. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, supporting the U.S. Coast Guard. Whereas the City of Paducah, located at the hub of the America's inland waterways and the home of the United States Coast Guard Marine Safety Unit, Sector Ohio Valley since 1969, and Towing Vessel National Center of Expertise since 2010. And whereas the Board of Commissioners honors the mission of the U.S. Coast Guard to protect the public, the environment, the U.S. economic interest, in the nation's ports and on all navigable waterways of the United States and its territories since its founding, August the 4th, 1790, by Alexander Hamilton, and known as the Revenue Marine and later as the U.S. Cutter Revenue Service. And whereas the City of Paducah supports the mission of the Coast Guard, morale, well-being, and recreation programs and events to uplift the spirit of the Coast Guard family, and be an essential element of Coast Guard readiness, retention, resilience through customer-owned and driven MWR programs and services. And whereas the city recognizes the sacrifices and contributions of the Coast Guardsmen and women, civilian employees, and their families to the community during their time of service in Paducah. Whereas the City of Paducah is formally committed to genuinely support programming to assure the concept of MWR is foremost in our minds, and when planning inclusive accessibility and true to this creative city, authentic activities focused on Coast Guard families. And whereas this resolution also commends the Coast Guard, MSU, and TVNCOE Paducah, representing the time-honored traditions deeply rooted in Coast Guard history. Paducah recognizes and honors this heritage, tradition, and culture, and vows to co-join these most respected attributes with those of the city to grow both the character and memories of time spent in the River City, memories that may inspire the adoption of Paducah as a hometown after service. And whereas this city and numerous individuals, organizations, schools, fraternal organizations, and churches do not and will not let the great contributions of the Coast Guard personnel go unnoticed, but rather embrace the kindred spirit and offer the hand of friendship. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Paducah that the Board of Commissioners is formally committed to acknowledging the professional work of the Coast Guard men and women assigned to our community while expressing appreciation, building morale, and service excellence by working to join the other 16 cities designated by the Commandant as a Coast Guard city. This resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its adoption.
You need a second?
Mm-hmm.
Second.
Any comment? City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kayler?
Aye. So, John, you have your work cut out for you now. John and Mary Hammonds and I have met a few times about a Coast Guard designation for Paducah, Kentucky, and so we work as a team on that. And because it's it's a pretty tedious process to be designated as a Coast Guard city. We felt like it was better to work together as a team and to show our support. And, the Coast Guard, as I said, is very important to the City of Paducah, and we appreciate your presence here and all that you do. John, would you like to say something tonight? Would you all like to?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to acknowledge our Marine Safety Unit Commander, Mark Sawyer, who joined Paducah here in June of this year. The short history of this, I was at the River Discovery Sustainer Breakfast in December, and two gentlemen sat me down and said, why aren't we a Coast Guard city? One gentleman's name was Mr. Ken Wheeler, and the other one was retired Admiral Kevin Cook, who Carol will remember on a day on Broadway when we opened the Towing Center of Expertise on Broadway, and then we marched this Admiral over to the other side of town the same morning and had him do the Maritime Day ceremony. So I think the Coast Guard has a big presence here, and this is a learning process. We've learned in the past that maybe we didn't do it right the first time, and we have the support of both Commander Sawyer and Lieutenant Commander Jackie Toomey at the Center of Expertise, who has been involved in 2 applications for designation. One was successful and the other wasn't. So be patient and we'll give it a try. Okay?
Thank you so much. Mark, would you like to come up? We'd like to shake your hand while you're here tonight. Come on up. We'd like to shake your hand before you leave.
Huh?
You're welcome, sir.
My husband was a former Coast Guard. That's how I met him. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to our motion. Commissioner Galt, you have that? Mm-hmm.
I move that the following documents be received and filed. Certificate of liability insurance for A&K Construction for the Dome Relocation Project, right-of-way bond for Artisan Contractors of Kentucky, LLC, notice of cancellation for the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah, Kentucky for March 1st, 2016, contracts and agreements, contract with Kinsey's Lawn and Landscape for grounds maintenance of city-owned properties, contract for services with Paxton Park Municipal Golf Course, Paducah Waterworks financial highlights for January 2016. City of Paducah, Kentucky Industrial Building Revenue Bonds, Series 2015 for $12 million for Paducah Riverfront Hotel LP project. Bids for Engineering Public Works Department, 1 full-size four-door sedan. Linwood Motors, Paducah Ford. Renovation of Police Annex Building, Mid-States Construction Company, Inc., Mitchell Construction Company, LLC. Bids for Planning Department, sale of 1611 Madison Street, Michael Warren and Tony M. Hatton. Sale of 1018 North 14th Street, Christ Temple Apostolic Church.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kaler?
Aye. Commissioner Rhodes, you have the personnel.
Yes, ma'am. Upon the recommendation of the city manager, the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah ordered that personal changes on the attached list be approved.
Need a
Evening,
second?
Mayor. Any questions?
Second.
No, it looks pretty simple.
It is.
All right. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kaler?
Aye. Commissioner Wilson?
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Accepting the Offer of Michael Warren and Tony M. Hatton in the amount of $1 to purchase real property located at 1611 Madison Street, Paducah, Kentucky, and authorize the mayor to execute a deed for same," be adopted.
Second.
I believe their
Commissioner
plans are to, hello, I believe their plans are to construct a single-family home within the year on that lot, so
It's all good.
All good.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kaler?
Aye. Commissioner Abraham, please.
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Accepting the Bid of Christ Temple Apostolic Church in the amount of $300 for purchase of real property located at 1018 North 14th Street, Track 1 and Track 2, and authorizing the mayor to execute a deed for same be adopted."
Second.
Cheryl?
Yeah, I believe their plans are to construct a home to help folks to transition into community after a loss or incarceration. And their goal is to complete that project around 2020.
And that's the 2 vacant lots right adjacent to the church.
That's right.
All right. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kaler?
Aye.
Just want to comment on that.
Sure.
That Pastor Walton there has long had a passion for helping individuals either with losses or individuals that have been incarcerated coming out. I think he had a Jump Start program there to see individuals in our community with that type of passion to help our guys get back on their feet is to be commended. So I appreciate their efforts there.
You know, you're right, Commissioner. This actually be their second Jump Start, Fresh Start house.
Yeah.
Because the first one's there across by the church.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty neat program.
Yeah.
They just do it themselves. It's nice to be part of it.
And he has an amazing story.
Yeah, he does.
Yes.
He does.
Okay. City Clerk?
We called the roll on that one.
I'm sorry. We've already done that one? Oh. Okay. So we go into ordinances adoption. Commissioner Rhodes?
No, ma'am.
No? Commissioner Gall?
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Approving and Authorizing the Execution of a Lease with Paducah Chiefs Baseball Club, LLC for the leasing of 2400 Brooks Stadium Drive, Paducah, Kentucky, also known as Brooks Stadium," be adopted.
Second.
Mark?
Hello, Mayor, Commissioners. This is a situation where the Brooks Stadium Commission didn't have the authority to lease the stadium out. They can let somebody use it, but as far as the lease, which they'll need for their alcoholic beverage license.
Okay. Any questions for Mark? Okay. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kaler?
Aye. Go on to our ordinance adoption. Commissioner Rhodes?
Okay. I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Approving the Change Order Number 2 with Environmental Abatement Incorporated for demolition of a condemned unsafe structure located at 432 Broadway in the City of Paducah, and authorizing the mayor to execute the approved change order." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah hereby approves change order number 2 for an increase in the amount of $10,830 with Environmental Abatement Incorporated for rental of barricades, fencing, toilets, road plates due to the delay of the demolition of the condemned unsafe structure at 432 Broadway, and to extend the completion date to March 27, 2016, therefore increasing the total cost to $490,448, and authorizes the mayor to execute the approved change order.
Second.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hello. Okay, so we have an amendment to that. They finished demolition today, as a matter of fact, and this change order was going to extend the contract to the 27th. So today is actually going to be their completion date. So we'll have some savings there over in the change order. However, when we did the scope of work for the contractor, we had asked them to leave the concrete slab after the building was torn down. That was done on Thursday, I think, of last week, and it became apparent that we're not going to be able to leave that slab. It was about 12 to 18 inches higher than the sidewalk, and it was a very thin slab of concrete. Then there was a lot of sandy material and brittle brick underneath of that, so it was going to our road. So we asked the contractor to remove the concrete slab, and he agreed to do that. for the amount of the savings that we were going to have over in change order for the no longer needing the rental equipment. However, Thursday when they started, when they broke into the concrete, it appeared that the terrazzo floor had been laid over an asbestos tile floor. So then we had to stop work and have that tested to confirm it was asbestos, and it was. We got results on Friday. So that increased our costs of disposal of that flooring, of that concrete slab. And to review the numbers with you, its original request in change order number 2 was $10,830. When you back out the end date to being today instead of the 27th, the savings we received, that amount is $4,870. But the asbestos abatement cost is $9,200. And I will note that EAI is not charging us labor costs to dispose of that asbestos. He did that work just for actual costs. So that brings our amended change order number 2 amount to $15,160, leaving our new contract price at $494,778. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
That's it? That's the final?
That's the final for demolition. The masonry wall contract starts tomorrow. So
Let no good deed go unpunished.
that's right.
Okay, Commissioner Wilson, I believe you have the motion to amend that change order.
I do. I move that an ordinance introduced on February 23rd, 2016, entitled An Ordinance Improving Change Order Number 2 with Environmental Abatement, Inc. for demolition of a condemned unsafe structure located at 432 Broadway in the City of Paducah, and authorizing the mayor to execute the approved change order, be amended to increase the amount of change order number 2 from $10,830 to $15,160 for additional asbestos abatement, and change the completion date for the project from March 27th, 2016 to March 8th, 2016.
Second.
Okay. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kaler?
Aye. Commissioner Abraham, you have the adoption for the change order.
Yes. I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt a change order entitled An Ordinance Approving Change Order Number 2 with Environmental Abatement, Inc. for demolition of a condemned unsafe structure located at 432 Broadway in the City of Paducah, and authorizes the mayor to execute the approved change order as amended on March 8, 2016. This ordinance will approve change order number 2 with Environmental Abatement, Inc. in the amount of $15,160 for additional asbestos abatement and equipment rental for the demolition of 432 Broadway, therefore increasing the total cost to $494,778, and authorizes the mayor to execute the approved change order. Further, the completion date will be extended to March 8, 2016.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kaler?
Aye. Okay, introductions. Commissioner Galt?
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Accepting a Grant Award from the United States Tennis Association, partnering with the Paducah Tennis Association for the Noble Park Tennis Shelter Restroom Project. This ordinance is summarized as follows. That the City of Paducah hereby accepts a grant award in the amount of $20,000 from the United States Tennis Association in partnership with the Paducah Tennis Association. These funds will be used for the Noble Park Tennis Shelter Restroom Project. The award does not require any local matching funds.
Second.
Mark?
This is a grant that the Paducah Tennis Association applied for and is received, and we're going to use it as part of that, as well as fixing up one of the courts as a youth court and practice court.
It's been a long time coming, and it's good that we're
Kind of getting there.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting there.
From what I read in today's paper, it looks like all the money has been raised that they needed, or?
I have been told that.
Know that?
I have been told that. I think we're on that march.
So where will the restrooms be?
They will be on the west end of the tennis courts. As you're driving up the main drive to the tennis courts, you'll see the restroom shelter before you get to the tennis courts.
Okay, so it'd be just restrooms, or will there be like a pavilion with?
There is an awning type area that we'll be able to have picnic tables and some things under that, so they'll be able to watch the matches as they're going on in a shaded area. They'll have the restrooms on the end, and if they're holding a tournament or something, there's something that they can sell some drinks out of or something of that nature.
Good.
I just want to say I do not envy you, my friend, in giving away your daughter
Oh,
in marriage. That can be quite
you've been there.
Emotional moment.
You've been there. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to an October wedding.
All right.
Thank you.
It's exciting, Mark. Okay. Commissioner Rhodes, you have the next one.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance accepting the bid of Mid-Stakes Construction Company Incorporated for renovation of the Paducah Police Department Annex Building located at 1410 Broadway, and authorizes the mayor to execute a contract for same. This ordinance is summarized as follows: that the City of Paducah accepts the bid of Mid-States Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $198,399 for renovation of the Paducah Police Annex Building located at 1410 Broadway, and authorizes the mayor to execute a contract for same.
Second.
Hi, Rick.
Good evening, Mayor Commission. This is what we've been referring to internally as the Police Annex Building. It's located right next door to the Police Department building that you all recently purchased for renovation. It was previously a daycare and an unused portion, so we've gone in and totally taken out all the furnishings, and we're restoring the building for office use, and this contract will take care of that. We're doing a lot of this work in-house as well. All the electricals has already been roughed in by our electrician that we have on staff. The ceiling and all of the lighting fixtures will also be completed internally by staff. However, this portion of the work is that portion that we're not as well adapted to: masonry work, building walls and partitioning that all, and getting the floor finishes and stuff in. So that's what this project is about.
How many square feet's in that building?
3,500, 35?
37.
37. If you were...
And are you leaving the dividing wall, or are you going to open that up?
No, the majority of that wall is going to be left. There are two openings that will be in there, one in the atrium area and then one behind the secured area for access for both sides of the two divisions that are in there. Real quickly, if I may highlight a little bit, one of the questions often comes up is how are we financing this? You all this evening are looking at the bid contract of $198,399. The remaining portion that will need to be set aside, or which has been identified by staff, is roughly $120,000 to get the furnishings into the building to make it usable. Throughout this progress, we saw this as an opportunity, the police department did, to work with finance, John's staff, work with Rick's staff in an effort to make this happen and tighten our belts, use some unappropriated revenues that we had within the police department budget to move over into
appropriated but unspent, just to be clear.
I'm sorry? Appropriated but unspent. You're correct. Yes. To move those over into this project account. So we've made this happen. This was a much needed project, as you all are well aware of, and the police department is excited about getting it going, moving in.
So what's moving over there?
Both investigative units, which currently one of those is off-site now. So we're bringing them back into the same campus.
So you will no longer have a lease payment, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, that will go away.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a Great-All multi-purpose telescoping excavator for use in the Engineering Public Works Department Street Division, and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same. This ordinance is summarized as follows: that the finance director is authorized to pay the total sum of $299,650 to Southeastern Equipment Company, Inc. for the purchase of one Great-All multi-purpose telescoping excavator for use in the Engineering Public Works Department Street Division in compliance with Kentucky State Purchasing Contract, and that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute a contract for same.
Second.
Mayor Commission, I'm kind of not liking to see the old grade all leave because that old piece of equipment dates me with the city. When I first come to work, the grade all 20 years ago, it was about a year old, and we had an accident over on 32nd Street where my first, within 2 weeks of the job, was get that thing out of the creek. But that's the piece of equipment that we're selling. It's a specialized piece of equipment. It's designed specifically to run parallel with the road and clean ditches out and when you're re-ditching areas for that. So 21 years of life out of a piece of equipment is pretty good.
And I already...
Average?
I'm sorry.
Is that average? Ellen may know that.
As far as the average life on a piece of equipment, I think that's driven by who's in the seat,
who's taking care of it.
Yeah, who's the operator, and how aggressive are they with that piece of equipment. But 21 years for the city is a good number.
Mayor, I'm just grinning because you know how I am about out of town stuff, and I'm the car guy, and so. When I went to pick up my baseball tickets for the Paducah Chiefs with Greg, I said, McKeel Equipment, I said, Greg, tell me, why are we going out of town to get this Gradall? And he said, because, Alan, nobody makes a Gradall but Gradall, and nobody sells it in Paducah. Mm-hmm. So I said, in other words, are you telling me that International Harvester case, as big as there does make it? He said, no, we don't make a Gradall. There is nobody that makes a Gradall except Gradall. Mm-hmm. So... I'm not fussing. I'm just, but I thought since I was getting my tickets, I thought I might as well ask the question, so we don't have to.
Yeah, I knew you weren't fussing.
Well, I'm not fussing. I'm just sort of being particular.
It's a very unique piece of equipment.
It's got that arm that scoots out and then digs like this on the side. Mm-hmm. You all have seen it. Okay, I'm the car guy. Just am.
Must be baseball too.
Not really, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try.
It's nothing to do with this, but
We'll share those tickets.
what piece of equipment digs the trench on the side of the interstate? They were working on
Actually, that's just over
narrow trench.
You're talking on the West Kentucky Parkway.
What are they doing?
They're actually putting in what they call under drains, perforated pipe, to try to drain the water from the subsurface and get it out so they get longer life out of the pavement.
Okay.
And the big machine they have is just about a 10-foot diameter saw. Mm-hmm. It's just a huge saw.
So it's like putting French drains in your basement, in a way, to get the water away.
Generally speaking, yes. Down both sides of the pavement, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I feel better now. Okay, so the next thing we have is Commissioner Abraham.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance accepting the bid of Linwood Motors for the sale to the city of one Dodge Charger for use by the Engineering Public Works Department Fleet Division and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah accepts the bid of Linwood Motors in the total amount of $25,650 for the purchase of one Dodge Charger for use by the Engineering Public Works Department and hereby authorizes the mayor to execute a contract for same.
Second.
I'd like to maybe provide some clarity on that. This particular vehicle will be warehoused in our fleet department, which happens to be part of the engineering department. But the vehicle is specific for the use of any office personnel that needs to travel. For example, going to airports, going to Frankfurt, going to Washington, D.C., wherever we might need to go for that. We are eliminating 2 vehicles that are currently accounted for in our fleet budget, but we're eliminating 2 cars and adding this 1 car.
Gosh, I hate to see the old green car go.
It's a pretty good car to run up and down the highway. You're left alone when you're in it.
So,
I'm kidding.
So I understand the what was the ordinance that we just read? What was it we purchased?
Okay, the Dodge Charger.
No.
The Gradall. The Gradall.
Gradall. I understand that because there's only one company that makes that apparently on the planet. This one, however, $25,000 for a Dodge Charger. Can you take me through the thought process on the criteria that was met to decide to spend this much money on one vehicle that will be available to be used by city personnel, whether they're going to Washington, D.C., Frankfurt, or wherever?
Okay, we were asked to put together, by the city manager, we were asked to put together a sedan that would be suitable to take 4 people, okay, up and down the highway if we needed to make trips for that, and something that had a little bit better gas mileage than a Ford Crown Vic for that. And this was also competitively bid locally for that. I mean, that car could have been bought off state contract, but we competitively bid that locally. And this, even though it's a Dodge Charger, it met the specs. It is not dressed out for a police car. It's just a sedan, Dodge Charger sedan for that, and that's the prevailing bid.
Now, I mean, this price, $25,000. I mean, that this is a new car, correct?
Brand new car.
Mm-hmm. And this is, we couldn't find any other car that was suitable for the type of travel you just described, less than $25,000.
We were asked to order a medium-sized sedan, and that met the criteria for that.
Okay.
Or excuse me, we're asked to competitively put out for bid a medium-sized sedan.
And the 2 old cars we'll sell those.
We'll sell those, yes, ma'am.
It's coming out of
How old were those cars, the 2 that we're eliminating?
I'm wanting to say they were like 2004 or 5.
One was an 03 and one's an 04.
Okay,
one had been through the police department on its way to a travel car.
Yeah.
I think, Commissioner, maybe what, correct me if I'm wrong, but you bid for here, I'm going to have to get my cheaters out.
Okay.
A full-size 4-door sedan, and you had 2 bids that came in.
Mm-hmm.
One was for a Ford Taurus, and the other was for a Dodge Charger. The Dodge Charger is the one that's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you ended up with the Dodge Charger, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does that answer your question? Kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's all out of the fleet fund that's set aside for
Yes.
these purchases.
Yes, it's coming out of your fleet trust fund. It's not coming out of an engineering budget or any of your other accounts. It's coming out of the fleet trust fund.
Which means the money's been set aside. Actually, 2 vehicles have been setting aside money. So we're downsizing the travel fleet from 4 cars to 2. We're upgrading it in terms of condition. We're also moving from 2 vehicles that arguably average 20 miles per hour for highway use to something that's going to push 10 miles an hour, or excuse me, 10 miles an hour.
Gallons.
Per gallon. More than that, I'm guessing it'd push 10 miles an hour and then some more than the others as well. So, excuse me. This car, I think, dedicated to the use only, should be a 12 to 15 year service car.
So we had a midsize. This is a midsize car.
Yes.
What was it? A Dodge Charger and a
Ford Taurus.
Ford Taurus. Those were the only 2.
That's the only 2 bids we got. I mean, we advertised it. We didn't get any more bids than that, Commissioner.
Okay. All right.
Commissioner Abraham, I think it's interesting. You and I have not talked about this, but I had the same thoughts you did, and I guess it's like this: if I was the guy writing them down, or you were, I guess it probably, because we'd be like, okay, a tire ran off the car, and so we'll just deal with it. But I guess as I thought about it, so you've got somebody in one of the other offices who may not be quite as apt to change a tire or whatever, and.
Well, the last time I drove the black car, I had a problem with it, and we had to pull it over, and Rick had to come out and change cars with me. So it's the cars had gotten to a point that they were beginning to.
Oh, I totally understand that it's probably time to replace vehicles because they are used. a lot. Just wanted some explanation for how we got to the 25 grand. So I'm satisfied with the explanation.
Okay.
All right.
Richard, I'm glad we were on the same wavelength.
And I hadn't even talked to you.
That's right. That's the crazy thing.
And you're the car guy.
And I'm the I must be rubbing off on you.
Go.
You all could start a click and clack here.
We
in
could.
Paducah.
We might, because those guys are off the air now.
Thank you, Rick. So we have the city manager's report.
I'll just say, Commissioner Abraham, it's challenging enough for me to put everything in car analogies for one commissioner. To do that for two.
He's really a football guy. He's a sports guy.
Yeah, understand football, understand life, though.
All right.
I just noticed that cars.
Reminder, next Tuesday night, we have a workshop dedicated to flood wall project proposal, and we will be looking forward to a visit from officials from the Corps of Engineers as well. So plan on that. I want to make a very brief comment or two regarding the 911 situation. The mayor and I met with the judge and deputy judge last week, and as the letter from the judge pointed out, we are being asked to make a proposal to the county to provide 911 services under a contract for services model. So we have begun work and some active planning to put something like that together. I think it's fairly obvious that one of the ways to reduce costs for all participants in an operation like that, where you have a lot of overhead equipment and personnel, is to get as many participants as you can. So I think where the word regionalization is being used, that I don't believe the city or the county, either one, is thinking anything other than regionalization, in the sense of wanting to attract as many players as we possibly can for that purpose. So that would be a key piece of a model that we would be working on for a city department, just as it is and has been and perhaps still will be a key part of a model for extension or renewal of the interlocal agreement that we have had in the past.
Bowling Green and Warren County they have some sort of arrangement similar to that with their city and county.
Well, Bowling Green provides limited services to the county sheriff, basically a relay system for their 911 calls. There are models out there. Henderson and Henderson County, probably the best model out there, where the city actually functions as a city department and extends services out to the county. And this kind of a thing is not unparalleled between the city of Paducah and McCracken County. Animal control, for example, is a county department from whom the city contracts for services there. So again, there are different ways to approach that, but I think the key thing is to try to work together in some form and gain the economy of scale that you can in the best interest of your taxpayers. So again, I just want to assure everybody that's part of the thinking under any scenario. The only other thing I'd mention, this is strictly non-business, but I know it's Kentucky, and college basketball is a big thing in Kentucky, but if anybody's ever been curious about what Jackrabbit basketball looks like, being from South Dakota, I have to herald the fact that the Jackrabbits are going to play on ESPN2 tonight for a conference championship. So,
do we know anybody?
What time?
No, there's nobody. There's no pro prospects. Nothing to be. Do
we know anybody who'll be watching it locally?
Was that Jack? Is that some type of metaphor or something?
Excuse me, huh?
Jackrabbits. I mean, what do you?
That's the team mascot. Excuse me. The
okay.
South Dakota State University.
I got you.
So.
Not to be confused with the jackalope.
I'm just.
Yeah, you have to be careful with jackalopes.
Okay.
I was gored by one as a child when I was hunting pheasants. It's not.
That's what happened.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Any mayor and commissioners' comments tonight?
Well, I have a comment. What exactly are the responsibilities of the animal warden? Because I get asked that question a whole lot. I mean, if you see a stray dog running across 21st Street or Kentucky Avenue and you call the animal warden, is it within their job description to go and try to retrieve the dog? If there's something hit on the side of the road, is it part of their job description to go get it? Because that seems to be a point of inference that's just kind of like gray.
Well, again, we contract that out to the county, and the county's responsibility, as per the agreement, is essentially to enforce the city ordinance. So the responsibilities of animal control, for which the county is contractually obligated to us for, would be defined in our ordinance, be the same as what we would be imposing upon ourselves. That's what you've done by ordinance, is established the requirements for that. From there, it can become a priority matter if resources are spread too thin, manpower, facilities, that sort of thing. So the ability to respond to a isolated situation, generally speaking, I think our ordinance is pretty good, and it does address things such as what you're referring to. Can there be situations where the response might be, we're not able to right now, and therefore a dog running it loose may run off before people? Yeah, always. But by and large, I think the responsibilities are there. I'd be happy to send you all a copy of the ordinance to refresh you with what's in there. But again, we are contracting essentially with the county for the enforcement of animal control as defined by city ordinance.
Yes, I would like a copy of that.
Sure.
I'll give you an example. In front of the Arts and Music Festival, right by Girls' House, the morning of the Arts and Music Festival, there were 2 dead dogs out on Mel King. And so Bob Johnson called me and said, "What are you going to do about it, Commissioner?" I said, "Well, I don't know. So I went out with a shovel and 2 plastic bags and scooped the dogs and put them in the plastic bags because they're both dead, and tied them up and called Public Works and said, 'Do you think you could pick these up?' And they said, 'Yeah, we'll pick them up.' Because I didn't know what to do, because it was right before the Arts and Music Festival. So there's, if you want to get proactive.
You're a good guy.
Well, no, we were getting to the festival in like 2 hours, and what do you do?
Well,
there's a raccoon. Could I give you that address?
You could.
Could we shift to a different topic?
You're right. I'm sorry.
You're done with the roadkill? That's...
I actually do have something else.
Okay, go ahead.
Seriously.
Yes. Well, I was just going to state, last September when we were in D.C. meeting with the National Endowment for the Arts, they stated that they felt like our groups were not applying for as many of their federal grants as we should. They would come here to do a workshop. So they were here last Friday. We had 47 people there representing about 30 different organizations for additional training on how to apply for all of their federal grants. And in January, they gave away over $200,000 in Kentucky, nothing for this part of the state. So hopefully we'll start seeing some more applications from here and some more grants awarded to our own arts organizations. But they came from Hopkinsville, Murray, Mayfield, and Benton, and then a lot from Paducah last Friday.
Great.
Thank you for taking the lead on that and bringing them here.
Oh, you're welcome.
That is more exciting.
Yeah.
So,
I'm on a farm, so I'm used to that.
So today is Commissioner Abraham's birthday.
Yes.
So we want to all wish him a happy birthday. And who wants to lead the song?
I'll lead.
All right.
But there's no cake?
No, sorry.
Commissioner Wilson, you didn't? Okay.
It's home baking right now. You want to come by later?
Okay.
You know I don't cook.
And what may be my only time to sing to you. Happy
birthday to you.
Richard. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, my God.
Birthday, dear
Everyone,
Graham.
happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wasn't that pitiful?
That was beautiful.
There's a reason you sing.
It was beautiful.
We don't.
So I won't get invited again. Great.
It was pitiful but heartfelt.
That's heartfelt.
So do we have any public comments tonight?
56.
Public.
56.
Oh.
Okay, we have who has the executive
I have
session?
it. I have it. I can read. I don't see. I move that the board go into closed session for discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics. Issues which might lead to the appointment, dismissal, or disciplining of an employee as permitted by KRS 61.8101F.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kayler?
Aye. We will not be coming back, so meeting's adjourned.